Good afternoon, guys. Today I am going to explain the mathematical operations, addition, subtractions, multiplication, divisions on mixed numerals and how we are going to apply. So we take some simple examples about that. But before we do that, will share the my screen with you guys, having the whiteboard Microsoft. So I'm gonna share my screen here, guys. Let's start with this simple example here. So let's take this example. First example we have here. Let's add, for example, 2 and 1/3 with a 5 and 2 over 7. Just an example here, guys. The best way of doing these questions is to get rid of the mixed numerals. So convert first, convert to mixed, convert from mixed numerals to improper fraction, to improper fraction, to improper fraction. So how do we do that? As you know, guys, previously we explained this. We multiply the denominator by the whole number, and then we do that multiplication here. So we multiply these two people, and then we add it to the top. So we add this to the top here. We do that with the other one also. So 3 times 2 is 6 plus 1 is going to be 7. 7 over 3. We keep the denominator as it is. We do the same thing with the other one, which is 7 times 5. 35 plus 2 is going to be 37. So 37 over 7. Now, guys, since we have two different denominators, so we need to have the least common multiple or the common denominator. So we are going to write down here common denominator. So to do the common denominator, since we have both of them prime factors, as you know, we had explained this in the previous videos, that the least common multiples, we can do it in this way. We take the two numbers and we try to apply the prime factors. If any of these divisible by the first prime factors, then the second prime factors, then the third prime factors, then the fourth prime factors. So this is the first one is 2, 3, 5, and 7. And then the rest of the prime factors are not very important. So we start with 2. Well, none of these two numbers divisible by 2. Then we start with a 3. One of them is divisible by 3. 3 divisible by 3 gives me 1. 7 is not divisible by 3. We keep it as it is, as we did in the previous video, if you remember. Now, we don't have any of these two numbers still divisible by 3. None of them. Are they divisible by 5? Of course not. So we take 7. So basically, 1 will stay as it is, and 7 divided by 7 gives me 1. So basically, we stop at this point. And that is our stop sign. So the least common multiple between these two numbers is going to be 21. So the common denominator is 21. Well, this means that if I'm checking, the first denominator is actually, as you see, it is 3. So I'm going to cover 3 here. And I see that what's the factor left is actually 7. And I multiply the bottom by 7 and the top by 7. So I'm doing this one here. And I do the same thing with the second denominator, which is 7. So I cover 7 now. Let's cover it with a different color. So I'm going to cover 7 with this color. And then the 3 is left. So I'm going to multiply the denominator by 3 and the numerator by 3 also. So then I will rewrite the two functions, or the two fractions. The two fractions again. So we do have 7 times 7 is 49 over 21, and then plus 3 times 7 is 21. That's right. 3 times 7 is 21. So 1, 2 in my hand. 3 times 3 is actually 9 plus 2 is 11. So 111. So now I have the same denominator. So we can apply the addition. So basically we can add now. And then after that, We go down a little bit and we keep the denominator as it is. We don't change the denominator ever. We never do that. And then we have 49 plus 111. So the answer is going to be, as you see here, the denominator is 21. And then we just add the top. So 9 plus 1 is going to be 10. 1 in my hand. 4 plus 1 is going to be 5 plus 1 is going to be 6. And that's going to be 1. So 160 over 21. If there is any simplification, we can do that. Well, the top is divisible by 2, the bottom is not. The top is not divisible by 3, the bottom is. The top is divisible by 5, the bottom is not. But is the top divisible by 7? We can check that. If the top is divisible by 7. So, and then if it's not, then we actually, it's not. So we keep them as they are. Now we can convert back. We'll write down here, convert back to mixed numeral. To mixed numeral. Okay, guys? To mixed numeral. So in this situation, I'm just going to do the long division. As you know, previously we did that. And I have the long division here. So let's make the long division. So I have 160 is divided by 21. Let's see. Well, 21, it doesn't go in 1 or 16. It does go to 160. So in just 100, we have approximately, we have 5 20s. Then we may have 2 more 20s. So basically, I'm expecting 7 here. Let's try 7. 7 times 1 is going to be 7. And then 7 times 2 is going to be 14. And we are going to do the subtraction here. Let's do the subtraction in a nicer. Let's take a nicer line here. That's the subtraction. You take 7 from 10 because you're going to borrow from the 6. So that's going to give me 3. The 6 will be 5. So you take 4 from 5. That's 1. So you can see, guys, after the subtraction, we always get a number must be smaller than the divisor. The divisor is 21. So then the number we chose is right number. Since we don't have any number and we don't want to have this in decimal form, so we are going to write down. First of all, we need to put the 7 here. That's a 7, which is we're going to put it here. So that is 7 in here. And in the middle of the 7, let's write down that a little bit nicer. And make the number 7 bigger in size so people know that this is a whole number. So let's make 7 like this and we circle it. Yeah. And then we have the same. The line is in the middle of the number. The denominator will stay as it is. So we don't have any change in denominator. So you don't change any denominator. Denominator is always staying as it is. So the denominator is actually 21, sorry. That's going to stay as it is. Now, the 13 is going to be the remainder here. As you know, this is the remainder. And we are going to take this remainder to the top here. So we're going to write down 13 in here. So basically, the answer is 7/13 over 21. That's one of the examples, guys. We can take another example as a subtraction, and maybe we can make another video for multiplication or division, or we continue same thing here. So this example was a example of addition. So convert to improper fraction, common denominator. If you don't have a common denominator, then we are going to add, then convert back to mixed numeral. That's the idea. So now let's take another example of subtraction. I'm taking it 2 terms. Well, we have a different, we can take 3 terms or 4 terms. It's going to be the same way, same method. So I will have here a 3 and 1/2, let's just say that, minus 1 and 1/6. Just an example, new example. So we do the same thing. The method is going to be the same. The first one is convert to improper fraction. Improper fraction. That's the easiest way, guys. Now I'm going to take the two more examples, multiplication, division, and then we'll try to make this video shorter a little bit. So we get rid of the denominator, we get rid of the whole number by multiplying it by the denominator and then adding that to the top, which is the numerator. So we multiply these two people and we are going to add them to the top in here. We do that with the other fraction also. So we say that 2 times 3 is 6 plus 1 is going to be 7, denominator staying as it is. And we do the same thing, because 6 times 1 is 6 plus 1 is also 7. But the denominator is going to be 6 here. Now, we try to have common denominator. Common denominator. Well, we are going to take the least common multiple, as you know. And we know that the least common multiple, we need to know the prime factors, the first 4 prime factors, which is 2, 3, 5, 7. The rest of the prime factors are not very important. We are going to put these two numbers here in this column. And we try with 2. Is any of these two numbers divisible by 2? Yes, it is. 2 divided by 2 gives me 1, and 3 divided by 2 gives me 3. Any of these two still divisible by 2? None of them. Next prime factor is 3. Any of these is divisible by 2? Yes. 1, we staying as it is. The 3 divided by 3 is going to be 1. So we have here a stop sign here. You see that? So the least common multiple is the multiplication between these two prime factors, which means that the least common multiple or the common denominator will be 6. 2 times 3. Well, of course, the first one is 2. So if I cover 2, as we did the previous in the previous example, I'm covering 2, so the 3 is left. So I'm going to multiply the denominator by 3 and the numerator by 3, and I do this multiplication. And the second one is actually 6, and I have 6 here already. 2 times 3 is actually 6, so I don't need to do anything with the second. So I'm going to make that. 3 times 7 is going to be 21 over 6, and this one is already 6. The denominator is already 6, so the top is 7. So we just do subtract. And now we go down a little bit and do the last step, or the step before the last step. So we take from 21, we take 7 from 21, and it's divisible by 6. The answer is going to be, if I just want to write it down here, I don't mind here. I'm just going to make it this way. So take 7 from 21. That's going to give me 14. So there's 14. Now, before because there is divisibility by 2 for the top and the bottom, so we try to make the fraction simpler. So we divide the top and the bottom by 2, and we get another fraction, maybe smaller fraction. So we are going to have a 7 over 3. So we have a 7 over 3. Now, this is improper fraction. We say convert back to mixed numeral. Right? And we do that all the time. So this long division is going to be easy. And just showing you what we are going to do as per the first, same method of the first example. The divisor is 3. Do I have 3 in 7? I do. Twice I multiply 2 times 3 is going to give me 6. When you do the subtraction, you will have only 1 as a remainder. So the answer of this is going to be 2 as a quotient. We put it here. So we put the quotient here, which is the answer. That's a big 2. And then we have a fraction. We don't change the denominator. The denominator will stay as it is. So the denominator is going to stay as it is here, as you see that. And the remainder is going to be on the top. So that's going to give me 2 and 1/3. That's the answer of this question. We take another example, guys, for multiplication maybe. And we take another example for division. So let's take another example for multiplication, simple thing. So I have, let's take a 3 and 1/5. And that's going to be multiplied by 2 and 1/4. Let's say that. Again, guys, we do the same thing. Convert to improper fraction. And we basically, guys, do these things always. So multiplying the whole number here by the denominator, and then we are going to add that to the top, which is going to be the numerator. So we add it to this guy here. Do that with the second fraction also. So we say that 5 times 3 is 15 plus 1 is going to be 16. Denominator never change. Multiplied by 4 times 2 is 8 plus 1 is going to be 9 over 4. Denominator is not changing. Now, we don't need least common multiple here. So what do we do? Multiply. Multiply. Top, top, and bottom, bottom. Do you see that, guys? So we are going to do that easily. So 5 times, so we multiply the top with the top, the bottom with the bottom. So 5 times 4 is going to be 20. 9 times 6 is going to be 54. 4 here, 5 in my hand. And 9 times 1 is 9 plus 5 is going to be 14. So 144 divided by 20. Well, you can see, guys, we can simplify more here. Let's write down simplify. So let's divide by the top by 2 and the bottom by 2 and see what's happening after that. If there is more simplification, we can do that. So 20 divided by 2 gives me 10, and 144 divided by 2 is going to give me 72. Again, we can see that they are both divisible by 2. So we can write down that also, make the fractions as small as possible. The 10 divided by 2 is 5. 72 divided by 2, that's going to give me 36. Now it's not divisible so anymore by any common factors. So we say convert back to mixed numeral. Mixed numeral. Okay, so we are going to do long division here, easy way. So that's a long division, and we're going to put the dividend, which is a 36, and the divisor is 5. Do I have 3 in 5 in 36? I do. I have 7 actually. 7 times 5 is going to be 35. So that's an easy number. So we are going to have only 1 as a remainder. So the quotient of this is actually 7, a big number here in the beginning. Then I have a fraction, and I said that the denominator can never be changed. So this is the same denominator we have, and the remainder is going to the top. So the remainder is going to be here. So it is 7 and 1/5. That's the answer. The last example is about division. We do the same thing. So we take an example here, and we are going to say that, let's say 3 and 1/4 is divided by 2 and 3/5. Again, the first thing is convert to improper fraction. Convert to improper fraction. Improper fraction. And after that, so let's multiply the 4 times 3. We do that. We do this multiplication first, and then we add it to the top as we did in the previous examples for addition and subtraction and multiplication. Well, we do that for both of them. So we are going to have 3 times 4 is going to be 12 plus 1, giving me 13. The denominator can never be changed, multiplied by the second fraction. And 5 times 2 is 10 plus 3 is going to be also 13, but it is divisible by 5. The denominator can never be changed. Now we dividing this. Sorry, I just missed the division. I have a division here. Now we have this division, but we convert the division to multiplication and take the reciprocal. So convert the division to multiplication, and take the reciprocal, take the reciprocal of the second fraction. of the second fraction. Let's write down that so people understand what we are doing here. Sorry. Let me just write down this here, second fraction. Okay. So we do that. We keep the first fraction as it is. So I have a 13 over 4 as it is. We change the division, you see there, to multiplication and take the reciprocal. Reciprocal means flipping that. So that's going to be 5 over 13 here. Now, we do multiply top with top, bottom with bottom. Multiply, as we said previously. Top, and bottom. Why we do that? Because we don't need a least common multiple for multiplication or division. So let's multiply the top with the top and the bottom with the bottom. So if I multiply the bottom, so I have a 4 times 3, that's going to give me 12, 1 in my hand. 4 times 1 is 4 plus 1 is going to be 5. That's it. 5 times 3 is 15, 1 in my hand. 5 times 1 is 5 plus 1 is going to be 6. As you see, guys, that the denominator is not divisible by 2. The denominator is divisible by 2. The denominator is not. None of them divisible by 3. Top is divisible by 5. Bottom is not. Let's see if this is any possibilities of dividing by 7. Well, I will make another video with the divisibility by 7. But I will just try to see if this 65 divisible by 7 or 50, even 52. Let's try both of them. So 52, is it divisible by 7? It's not, so it doesn't matter. Even if the top is divisible by 7, doesn't matter. So no more simplification. So we do long division now. We do long division. So that's a long division. And then we do like this. So 65 is here and 52 is here. How many 52 and 65? It's 1 only. 1 times 2 is 2. 1 times 5 is 5. We take 52 from 65. 2 from 5 is going to give me 3, and 5 from 6 is going to give me 1. So the remainder is actually 13, while the whole number is 1. So I'm going to rewrite that here. So the whole number is 1 here, and I circle this, and I have a fraction. As we said, that the denominator never changed, so the denominator is staying as it is, and 52 will stay as it is, 52, but the remainder is going to be on the top in here. So that's, we have a 13 over 52. Sometimes when you put the remainder on the top of the divisor or the denominator, you may have some simplification, but in this situation we don't. So that's for examples, guys, about adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing mixed numerals and the steps for that. Thank you so much, and see you in the next video.